head over to the Rate Bowl. Brilliant name for a bowl, I guess. Uh, Rutgers is playing against Kansas State, and I might be, I could be so wrong about this, but I think you have two teams trending in opposite directions. I think Rutgers had a bit of an upsy downsy season. Okay, you were up, and then you were down, and then you're up. I think Ethan Kaliakmanis hasn't played that bad of football the last couple of games. I think Avery Johnson still is a little bit Avery Johnson-y at times, right? I don't know what you're going to have here for Kansas State on the offensive side of the football. What are we going to get from them? What are they going to produce? And is Rutgers going to take care of the football and play good defense? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Rutgers is going to miss their defensive coordinator, right? Joe Harizmiak.
Coach H.
Coach H. Thank you.
Razmiak, I think. That's how you
Harizmiak.
say it.
Over down to UMass,
God.
right? Very well respected defensive coordinator, right? He's done some good things there for Rutgers and Shiano. Their numbers don't quite show it, right? They are 94th in pass defense, 67th in rush defense, but I think they've been a lot more competitive than you would have thought, especially with some of the guys they did lose. Here's the thing, though. Ethan is not good. Ethan Kaliakmanis, Rutgers quarterback, is not good when he's under pressure, right? As a Minnesota fan, I know that more than anybody, right? I know he played well against Minnesota in the first half. When you get to him, we get pressure in his face, bad things happen for Rutgers, whether it's a sack, missed throw, bad read, whatever it may be. Kansas State's, a top quarter team in sacks, right? They're 33rd in the nation. I think that could be pretty interesting. Also, can we see Avery Johnson, some bowl game magic again, right? We saw what he did last year. He dueled against Jackson Arnold, right? Can he expose his Rutgers' potential pass defense, right? And obviously, you're not going to have Keegan Johnson who's in the portal, but I believe Jace Brown is back on the team.
I believe Kansas State, I thought they played NC State.
Who did Oklahoma play last? Oh, Oklahoma played Arizona. Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. That's my mistake there. Regardless, so Avery Johnson.
Brennan Armstrong, legacy game. Yikes.
After the whole MJ Morris thing. Yeah, listen, I just think you're going to see Avery Johnson play better football. I think the time off will be really nice for him to be able to kind of reset, figure out what went right, figure out what went wrong, and kind of battle through that. I think Jace Brown is a pretty damn good wide receiver for Kansas State. I know he talked about going to the portal, but never officially entered. Had a really good game in the Farmageddon game against Iowa State. Obviously, you've got DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards, who I believe are playing. Could not find anything to tell me otherwise, which would be awesome, right, to get that going. Sounds like Kyle Monangai for Rutgers. I'm kind of bouncing around here. I'm so sorry. Sounds like he's not going to play. But damn it, man. Antoine Randall, different player. Antoine Raymond, really freaking good. Young kid there for Rutgers. He played in that Minnesota game when Monangai had to miss, and he ran the ball really hard, very physical, kind of has some juice as well to him. I really like the way he ran the football. So I'm not too concerned, although I do not want to underestimate the importance of Monangai to that offense because we know Kirk Soraka loves to run the football. That RPO stuff sets up the pass as well, right? And really get Ethan settled in. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I like Kansas State in this game. I feel pretty darn good about it, and I know you're on the other side there, but I'll let you. Now you go.
Well, I know Kirk Soraka likes to run the football, right? But Ethan's thrown the ball over 30 times in 7 of his last 8 games.
What's the record? What's their record in those games?
That's a good question. It's probably like 2-5.
2-5? 3-5,
something like
maybe?
that.
Well, let's see.
A little bit tougher schedule.
Probably.
A little bit tougher schedule down the stretch. But Ethan, in his last 6 games, 1,500 total yards, 11 total touchdowns, to 1 interception. I don't know that I believe in that Kansas State offense entirely. I think Rutgers can do a good job of controlling the football. And again, I know we talk about sometimes the bottom of the Big Ten, is it's the bottom of the Big Ten, right? There's a lot of bottom feeders there, right? And they had a lot of those on their schedule, and they were only able to win so many games, right?
7 games. Hitting the over, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. But Kansas State, in games that got sloppy, that they let, these other teams play in the mud a little bit. Houston, okay, Kansas was a tight game. Arizona State gave them the business, right? I I do think. How about Tulane? Played in the mud a little bit early in the season, gave them a bit of a scare. I just think that a physical team like Rutgers, I think a physical team like Rutgers can compete on the same field as Kansas State. I think that this was a sneaky good matchup, and I think that there's a sneaky chance that Rutgers does some damage here. I'm gonna pick them to win, and I'm also gonna pick them to cover this football game. Uh, haven't been a real believer in Kansas State, and maybe this is just like me projecting my preseason predictions on Kansas State and being like, I don't see it with this roster. I need to see more from Avery Johnson. Maybe that's just that. Maybe it's spillover from that. But I kind of like the way that Rutgers has been playing football recently, particularly that offense. Particularly that offense. I know it hasn't been against popular, tough, traditionally good Big Ten teams, right? But I mean, a 41 burger on Michigan State, a 31 burger on Illinois, a 31 burger on Maryland, a 26 burger on Minnesota, a 32 burger on UCLA. Are those great defenses? No. But I just named a couple of their games in the last 7 games. And in that stretch when they weren't winning football games, right? Talking about like Wisconsin and Nebraska, those are a little bit better defenses. And I would say that Kansas State's defense is a little bit more comparable. It's closer to those defenses than Maryland, I would say, but I still think that Ethan Kaliakmanis is playing better football down the stretch. I think, like you said, though, Coach H losing him, I think is a big deal because he has been so good. Uh, I I don't know. I'm just feeling Rutgers here. +7 would be what you can get it at, but we'll pick this at 6.5. So I'll take Rutgers +6.5 and Rutgers to win as well.
Last thing here for me, things that we've talked about, reasons why Kansas State loses games or keys to games to get them in a good spot. It's obviously run the football well, fast starts, but take care of the football. When they take care of the football, they're a good football team. They're hard to beat. They're winning a lot of games. When they are not, they're losing that turnover margin. A lot of bad things happen. The good news here is like something's going to fall here because Rutgers is 105th nationally with only 7 interceptions on the season. Right, not a lot, very opportunistic defense. Forced fumbles, they're about 53rd with 9. So it's not like a
Yeah,
ton
they've
of
only
stuff is
forced
going on.
12 turnovers on the season.
Yeah, so it's not like you're seeing this crazy opportunistic aggressive defense that's going to cause a lot of things for Kansas State. Now, a lot of times you have self-inflicted wounds for Avery Johnson and Kansas State, and that you just can't avoid, and just make you scratch your head, right? As a Wildcat fan for him, but I said it against Farmageddon. I'm going to say it again. I think he takes care of the football. I think we see them play a complete football game, a clean football game, and they win by over a touchdown or more.
I think Rutgers also needs to play a clean football game, which they have all year in terms of like penalties, right? And taking care of the football. They've only had 8 turnovers all year.
The,
They've only had 8 turnovers.
the fact that they've got a pretty good turnover margin without having a ton of creative turnovers is pretty interesting. There's the thing though, like Ethan consistently like 54% completion percentage, right? Like, oh, I just seen him. Maybe
It's
I'm just
closer to
scarred.
60 in his last 6 games.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just
Listen,
saying.
I was high on Rutgers this year more so because I thought they play a style of football that was conducive to win 7+ games in what essentially was right a Big Ten West schedule. But maybe I'm fault of it too. But I think this Kansas State team hopefully plays a little bit pissed off. Right. Last thing here too, this game was played the day after Christmas. Right. Are we worried about either of these programs showing up?
I mean, I don't know how I would measure that. You know, like
I guess it was more just throwing out there like,
yeah.
oh, it's
I
the day after
mean,
Christmas. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
like for I guess an under. Yeah, I guess that could play into that narrative a little bit. And I did look at that total, and because I'm looking at these two teams, like these are two teams that are probably going to try to run the ball on each other, and Rutgers needs to dominate the football. And there have been games that Rutgers has dominated having the football in games that they score like 17 points, or 7 points, So I totals at 50 and a half, by the way. If you do think that it's a little bit high, which that's not crazy. If you do think that's a little bit high, I'm not going to think you're crazy. However, I'm just a little bit turned off from that because of how well Rutgers has been playing on offense, albeit against some subpar Big Ten defenses. But let's see if it translates against Kansas State right here. So, uh, who has been pretty good against the run this year, but I think you're right where Ethan Kaliak needs to play well to win this football game. I think he does it. I think he
He,
does it.
Miller is the best wide receiver in this game. Demir Miller is the best wide receiver in this game, I think. Right over Chase
Unless
Brown.
it, probably. So, I hey, we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited. But it's not often that we fade each other. So here we go.